Hey everybody, what is up? Welcome back to Final Trade. What I've got here today is the 4 pre-constructed decks that were released with Tempest in 1997. Now, these are reconstructions of them that I've put together from my personal collection and a few cards I had to buy to fill in the gaps. But I'm going to just flip through them here and talk about the history of these and what we're going to be doing with them on the channel for the next couple months. So, this first one is the Deep Freeze deck, as we just kind of flip through the cards and admire them while I talk. This was not Wizards of the Coast's first foray into pre-constructed decks. So there were two sets of precons that they released before this. The first was in May of 1996. They had something called the Pro Tour Collector Set, and it was basically just the 8 decks that had placed the highest at the 1996 Pro Tour. Sold for about $120, and of course it was non-tournament legal gold border cards. And not long after that, in June of 1996, they released a product called the Rivals Quick Start Set. And this was kind of an interesting one. It had 4th edition cards in it, and it was 4 little mini decks that were 25 to 30 cards each. And the idea was the cards came sorted in a particular order, and you were not supposed to shuffle them. And so you would just basically read through a guide as you played that said, okay, draw 7 cards. Then you'll have an island in your hand. Put it into play. And it would absolutely hold both players' hands as they played through their first game using these little mini decks. And so then after they learned, they could shuffle 2 of the decks together, and it would make 2, I believe, 55 card decks, and then they could play a more complete version of the game against each other. And it's really interesting because Pokemon actually offers this same product still to today. They refresh it once in a while with newer cards, but it's pretty much meant to bring young kids into the game because it can hold your hand completely as you learn to play. And so after those 2 sets, the Pro Tour Collector Set and the Rival Quick Start Set, these Tempest pre-constructed decks were the next attempt at a pre-constructed product, at least as far as my research can find. And so this was the first time that they were using really real cards and trying to make a real deck that you could really play with your friends instead of something to learn with or something non-tournament legal. And so these came out again with Tempest in October of 1997, and the broad level goals of this product was first to showcase the Tempest expansion. And so obviously every card in here is from Tempest. Now, Tempest had 350 cards in it, counting all the variations of basic land. And these products have in total about 100 unique cards. And again, that includes all 20 copies of the basic lands. But also, these decks were meant to just be playable and fun and capable of winning right out of the box in a casual group. I remember that Flames of Wrath, this red-white one that I just showed you, was certainly the most popular where I was playing in high school at the time. And what most kids would do is they'd buy the Flames of Wrath deck, they'd play it for a little while, and then as soon as they bought a couple of booster packs of Tempest, they would substitute out all the white cards for more red cards. Some of the problems, though, with these decks is again, you're trying to showcase the expansion. And so there weren't many cards that got 4 copies. This Clot Sliver, in fact, is one of the few. There's only 6 times across these entire 4 decks that you see a card get 4 copies in a deck. And comically, here's another one right here as we're flipping through. But another problem with these is that WotC wanted the rarity distribution to approximately match what you would find in a regular deck box, the normal 60-card randomized boxes you were buying at the time. Those boxes had 3 rares, 9 uncommons, 26 commons, and 22 basic lands. And so they were really going for that kind of population of rarity. And these pretty much match it. These decks each have 3 rares, 8 or 9 uncommons, and about 24 commons and about 24 basic lands. And so when you're limiting by rarity distribution like that, you really put a hard upper cap on how powerful these decks can be. Because I bet if you go and look in your personal collection and you see some of the constructed decks you enjoy playing with, I bet a lot of them will have somewhere between 20 and 30 rares in them, not 3. And another problem with these decks that I've kind of seen so far, but I haven't fully proven it yet, is that I suspect they are not well balanced. I think the Deep Freeze deck over here is going to be the best one of the 4. I think this Swarm deck that I'm showing you right now is probably the second best, followed by the Red-White Flames of Wrath deck, and then last, the Slivers deck. I think the Slivers deck will prove to be the worst of the 4. And the way we're going to find that out is that coming up in the next couple of weeks and months, I'm going to do a kind of a deep dive video on each of these decks, and then I'm going to play with my wife a round robin best of 5 tournament featuring all these decks. So 6 matches best of 5, so that each of these decks goes against each other one, and just kind of see what is the best of them. Again, I think Deep Freeze is going to be the winner, but we'll find out. So if you're interested in that kind of thing, you like these decks, like, comment, share, and subscribe. Join me on Final Trade, and we'll figure it out. Thanks a lot.